How does that typically go, Veronica?
Yeah, for sure.
The board meeting, do they? Okay.
All right, we're live on Facebook whenever you're ready.
Okay.
What is
And then-
happening?
You ready to go, Frank?
Ready. Yes, let's go.
Okay, we're ready. Waiting on.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Let me know, everybody, if you see it.
I see it.
Yeah, I see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, great. So welcome. Thanks again for being here. As you see on the first order on the agenda was that Beecher has been a longstanding member of the ECC, and she and her husband are in the process of relocating. So as I noted in the agenda, that's not my thing to recruit or select the new position, but we will want to fill that position. So if I get any information from the town as far as if they want us to help in any way, then we can certainly make recommendations or solicit people or whatever they want. I know I've received a few emails from various people that offer their expert opinion to me from the ECC, and that's appreciated for sure. So maybe some of those people would be good candidates for that. And happy Earth Day. It's Earth Day today, guys. Even though we're celebrating it on Saturday, right? And the first order,
Earth, compared to recent Earth days, it's a pretty good Earth Day. We got some really environmental announcements coming down from Washington that going to take Earth Day a little more seriously, maybe.
okay, what do you have to share? Anything, Martha?
No, I mean, just, Biden's meeting today with other world leaders and setting an agenda to cut emissions in the US by 50% of 05 levels by 2030, which is a very ambitious goal. I'll be very interested to see what kinds of actual policies or legislation come down the pike to make it, to actually make it happen.
Okay, yeah. I didn't see all that. I'm really curious as to what comes out of the last 2 years of COVID with the decreased traffic and so forth. I wonder if that's had an impact on the environment. So back to on the agenda, Saturday is our day up at the town hall to do the trees. Give you a little history. I reached out to Saratoga Nursery on Monday, and they shipped the trees. I tried to call my son before this meeting to see, I'm still in Florida, so tried to see if they were sitting outside the barn, and I didn't get an answer. So I'll let you guys know, but hopefully they will be there. They shipped on Monday, certainly from Albany. They should be in Pompey by today or tomorrow. So,
Hey, Frank, did you get Nikki's email? She was wondering if they were here. So maybe once you find out, if you could let Nikki know.
I most certainly will let all the people that need to know about this. If we have to say, hey, they're not here, then we'll do that. But I'll certainly check after this meeting and for sure tomorrow. If they're not here today, I'll be surprised if they weren't, but maybe not. They are coming by UPS as opposed to the United States Post Office, so we have maybe a better chance. So assuming that they do come in, you can see the agenda. I wanted to get some input from Pauline because she's somewhat of an expert at this type of thing. How do you recommend that we do these? Just like
You could do 5 trees in a gallon baggie and be happy.
Okay, in a
All
gallon
we need are
bag.
baggies.
So my question would be, is paper better than plastic? Is plastic bad? Is paper
No,
bad? It's,
I know plastic is an environmental no-no, but truthfully, we don't want the roots to dry out and paper bags don't fill that function very well.
okay,
So, any plastic, I'm thinking like a quart or a gallon, depending on how much roots they've got. Not
Which are-
having seen them, but I'm
which are-
assuming a quart should hold 5.
okay. What about using like a Wegmans bag? Because those are very available. You know what I mean? A grocery bag that we would used to pick
What,
up.
like the
Blown-
t-shirt bags?
The blown film that we would get our groceries in at Wegmans.
I don't think they give
Oh, I
those
didn't know
out
they were
anymore.
allowing you to have them anymore.
Well, I can
Yeah, I
offer
didn't think we
those up.
had them anymore.
I have thousands of those.
But you're
Yes,
in
but you're in
Florida.
Florida.
No, but my son is going to deliver the trees to the,
Oh.
that's,
Those
that
would
should be
work.
on the order of business for tonight, but at any rate, those will work fine?
Those would work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
because
Frank.
we're only,
Go ahead, Stan.
We've
ahead.
got a ton of those bags at the golf course are to-go bags. So if we get desperate, let me know and I'd be glad to volunteer some from there.
Okay, yeah, but you know what I mean? I have this recycle sock that's been in my garage forever and we've been stuffing those old blown film bags in
Yep.
there. So, you know,
Yep.
they may have a
Yep.
receipt or two in them, so you guys would have to clear the receipts out. But other than that, we have access. If they would work, Pauline, that solves that problem
Yeah.
right there.
we're
No
only
excess
concerned
cash in
with
those bags, Frank?
No, there's,
we're only concerned with keeping the roots from drying out and exposing them to air. So
Okay.
if they came in a big box, we just pick out 5 and throw them and put them in a bag and choke them.
okay.
And,
Do we,
you know, if we had twist ties or even don't even need that, you can just use the handles of those bags and tie them as a knot.
okay, just to tell
Rubber
you
bands
guys,
would work, anything like that.
from my experience, the way they come is you get a large paper bag, like almost a grain bag with a plastic lining in it. The roots, like
They're
Pauline
bare
pointed
root.
out, are moist and they're bare rooted. And then they're bundled with a large rubber band in, if I remember correctly, they're 25 to a bunch. And they give you, the 250 that way. So you'll have to separate them out, break them into 5s. And if we wanted to, I think we could just put them in the bags. I would recommend keeping them in the bag of 250 and then separating them out as they go. And then my
That would
next
be
question,
easy.
yep, it's very easy. You just grab 5 and put them on the bag when the people want them. Then the other question I would have for you, Pauline, would it be a good idea for the volunteers, whoever's going to hand these out Saturday, to have like a little squirt bottle to squirt the roots quickly before they put them in that plastic bag? They're not going to be super moist,
It would
Right.
be okay. I'm not sure how necessary it is.
Okay, if it's not necessary, then we don't need to add an extra
Um,
step for sure.
Hey, Frank or Pauline?
We'll know more when we,
So I was just
What?
gonna say,
we'll know more when we open the, I'm sorry. We'll know more when we open the bag. If they come through and they haven't been properly handled and they feel a little dry, then we'll throw water on them. But
Okay,
if they're, a lot depends on the condition they're in when we get them.
so,
so
okay, so
if I could
go
make
ahead,
a,
Phil.
yeah, if I could make a suggestion, I've gotten a lot of trees just like you, Frank, in the past from Saratoga. And when I've gotten them, they seem to have like a little paper towel wrapped around them, like a damp paper towel. So maybe what we can do, just as a thought, is take a damp paper towel and wrap it around the roots of the 5 trees in each bag, and then they'll stay damp, moist the whole time.
I like it. I don't see that it would hurt anything to do that.
That wouldn't hurt.
Nope.
That wouldn't
Okay.
hurt a thing.
So we need a roll of paper towel. Just trying to think this
And-
all through because
Hey, Frank?
yeah.
I can bring up paper towels, extra bags. The only other factor, I'm thinking more from a COVID standpoint, do we need to glove up while we're handing these bags and trees out? I'm certainly, I guess they
question.
have the mask out.
Great
But-
question. Yep.
I mean, I can bring all that stuff. I've got gloves that obviously we use at the golf course. If we need extra bags, I'll bring a box. I can bring a roll that there are hand towels, or I want to say they're not necessarily paper towels like you would use in the kitchen, but they come out of the like in the restrooms. the
Oh, I know the
dispenser.
brown
Yeah, the
stuff or
brown,
the other
and-
ones. Yep.
Yeah, and so.
would suffice.
I would think that would be fine, and I'd be happy to do any of that stuff, and then bring a box of gloves so that who's ever volunteering, handing the stuff out.
Okay. So while we say that, who would like to be there Saturday? It's from 9 till noon. I so apologize. This was all my idea and I'm not even in New York, but I figure we got a lot of us. So
I thought it's a little clever move on your part.
you like that move? That's pretty good. Yeah, I'll be at the beach when you guys are doing that.
Wise
Just
beyond
saying.
his years, he is.
So, yeah, and I don't know that we need, whoever, anybody have a burning desire to do it? Don't all jump.
There you go. I'd be happy to start out, Frank. I mean, I can get there fairly early and try to set stuff up.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
But
Stan.
I know I'm going to have a fairly busy day. I'm hoping to have a fairly busy day. We actually have snow up here on the hill
That's what I
on
heard.
Saturday, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
we have
Yeah,
I could be
Let-
there later. 9 o'clock, a little tough for me,
Is 9
Yeah.
but
good
I
for
could
you,
do
Stan?
10.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me there a little early to set up if it starts
Yeah,
at 9?
if I put it at 8:30, so you would set up the banner, kind of get things organized and stay till what, 9:30?
Yeah, at least 9:30,
Okay.
10 o'clock. That's easy.
Then let me do that. I'll put you down from 8:30 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you
And
want,
what banner are you talking about, Frank?
So we have an ECC banner now that the town has
Okay.
graciously had made for us that will kind of, and I'm not sure how we're going to do this. I'll try and figure out some of these logistics as we go, but I'm assuming a table is going to be there.
Yeah,
We can
they've already-
certainly grab a table out of the town hall. I mean, I know there's a bunch of them in there. So
Is this going to be in
Just
the
wonder if they're
parking lot of the
plastic.
town hall?
that's
Is
my
this going to be in the
understanding,
parking
right?
lot of the town hall?
That's
Okay.
my understanding, right?
Just
Okay.
one.
Not for
So-
Saturday. It's supposed to warm right up.
I hope so.
It
so
is.
if we want like 2 people at a time, I can volunteer for another time too. Or I
Okay.
can work with Stan, whatever, however we need people.
Okay, so, Stan, we've got you down from 8:30 to 10. Who else wants to volunteer? I got you there, Phil. I'm just gonna kind of keeping you in reserve as to what
Sure.
time frame worked best.
I can
um,
show up too.
I can show up at 10.
Go see, that was both Pauline and Martha. So
Yes.
if we go, we'll have how are we doing overlap?
Mhm.
So then Phil, you would go from,
It might be
9 to-
nice, it might be nice to have 2 people there to set up. Sometimes it's a little setting stuff up. You have questions that need answers to, and sometimes it's nice to have a second person. I can show up early.
And,
okay, so Martha, you want to go from 8:30 to 10 as well?
Sure.
Okay, and then Phil, you would go from 9:30 to 11?
Sure,
Work
that
for
sounds
you?
good. Yep, that sounds good.
And then
Frank, this is Veronica.
Veronica,
Judy McElhenny from the town board commented on Facebook that she would also be able to help that morning. She said she can be there early.
okay. And then we just really need the time slot from 11 to noon. And then to put the stuff
Do
away.
that.
And
Pauline, was
I
that
can do-
you?
Yes.
Did you see the?
Okay, so Pauline, and then, all right, so I'll send out a follow-up email, but right now I've got it 8:30 to 10 is Stan and Martha. 9:30 to 11 is Phil by himself. And if Judy wants to come, that would be great. And maybe you can let her know, Veronica, and then Pauline, you would be there from 11 till noon. And I don't
Yep,
imagine there's a
that'll
whole
work.
lot of cleanup. So the excess trees, if there are any, hopefully there are not. We would get those. How do we want to logistically get those up to the stand?
I could drop, you're at the
Well,
top of
if
the
I-
golf cart?
Sure, then
Yeah, yep,
Continue
if
conversing.
I'm the
I'm going to
last one,
see.
throw them in the car.
sorry.
I was gonna say I could drop them off on the way home, but I'm not the last person.
But I can do that. I'll just throw them in the car and take them with me and put them in that number
Bring
can
them,
fit in
bring them
my
up to the
car.
Pompey Club.
Sure.
Okay. Thank
I
you
don't
so
think there's
much.
gonna be any left over.
I hope there's not.
I can
but
only hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope there's none left over.
So, okay. So we're good there.
Yeah. Do people have the choice of 5 of each or 5?
That's again why I wish I was there, but I trust all your guys' judgment. If you guys see that it's not going, if somebody wants 15, I would say give them 15, I don't know if that's, but you know what I mean?
Okay.
I honestly, we talked this through with the numbers
Yeah.
before, right? We have 500 trees. If we do the math, that's 100 people. Are there going to be 100
Mhm.
people there
Mhm.
that want trees?
I bet
I
so.
hope so, but I don't
I
know
think
that.
so.
I don't know.
You think so?
We,
Okay.
we can always start slow. We can start with 5, say, and then see how the first hour or so goes, or first hour or 2 hours, and then always add more if we need to, if people want
Right.
more.
And I hope this is a hit, and I hope all the community that's watching understands this is our first time. And if it's a great success, then next year we'll get 1,000 trees or 1,500 trees, because it's wonderful for the environment to plant all these trees. It's awesome. And so we'll see how it goes. But I
I make a
certainly don't
motion, I
want,
make a motion that because Frank's in Florida this year, he has to hand out those 1,500 trees by himself next year.
Second,
it's okay. I
That was quick.
I hand them out in bunches of 25 though. Don't forget. So, yeah, so we'll see how it goes and then we'll reconvene. Back on the agenda, how do, I liked your comments, Martha, about the planting, and I agree. I don't know. It's important that these people get these in the ground, and 5 trees, I've planted thousands of them. So 5 is like nothing to plant 5 trees. You just got to have your spot picked out. They can certainly, as I suggested, go to the website, and I think it does a pretty good job. Correct me, Pauline, if I'm wrong, but I think they do a decent job of describing how to plant them and what to do and so forth. So,
Well,
Well,
yeah, but then people have to go there.
right. So with the idea of most people have access to the internet, I don't know how much of a pain it would be for us to put, how you do the little tags on the bottom of a banner that you put up at with
I
the
think
web address on it.
if we just printed simple instructions out, like earlier discussed, and just had it there and they could take a picture of it. That's what they do when they come to our place all the time when they have instructions. They don't want to take a piece of paper home. They take a picture on their phone.
Perfect.
And,
That
and
is,
then,
I never even thought of that, and I do it all the time. Yeah,
no,
absolutely a great
I think
idea.
we already discussed this in the email thread, and I'm wondering if,
I saw that.
oh, okay. Because
Yeah,
I
I think Nikki
Okay.
already.
But
Nikki
we
already
didn't
has
come
them
to a
printed out.
consensus though, Martha,
I
right?
think we did though. We had the instructions from Polly and
Oh.
some information from Phil about trees, and Nikki had both of those things laminated, a few copies, so that we can tape them to the table
Perfect.
that they're gonna provide for us for Saturday morning.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. At least we beat it to death, so that's good. We got it covered. So anything else regarding the trees?
So setting up, who should I contact about getting to the town hall? Nikki?
Nikki, or certainly the supervisor. So
Renee?
Yeah.
All right.
Did you see Renee's message that the town hall has gloves and paper towels and everything else, and that you don't need to bring them?
Okay.
She sent a message through chat during this
Okay.
meeting.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Gloves,
Got it.
towels, et cetera. Stan, no need to bring them.
Yep, got it. Sorry.
Okay. When I'm sharing, I don't catch all that stuff. So thank you for
No,
bringing that
unless
to
you
my
look, you don't
attention.
see it.
Yeah. And if you know where to look, it helps also. So it's always that.
Where do you look?
See, Craig, you and I, brother. All right. So we covered it. Now, the only other thing I can really think of is what if for some reason the trees aren't there. I did receive a call while we were in this call, and it was my son, and I'm hoping he was calling to say, hey, your trees are in the barn, but I don't know that. So.
If it's not there, we put a sign, we put the table there with a sign, I guess. It says
And say that it's next weekend.
rain date next week, yeah.
Okay. All right. That'll be the plan. All right. So moving on. Everybody good with the Earth Day Saturday?
Yep.
Got the schedule. I will send out a follow-up email. And the solar energy overlay district discussion is continuing at the town. So they passed the first resolution, and there is another resolution out there that we can certainly look at. Has anybody been keeping up with all of this on the website or anything? I'm still sharing,
I've
correct?
read some of it, but I haven't, not this week. Yes.
Okay. The overlay district, and I wish we had someone to kind of speak better to this than myself, but as I understand it, there's going to address the specifics of things that we had previously discussed, like for a tier 3 system, you can't have another one right next door to it on the adjacent property. You know, certain restrictions that are going to come in when someone applies for one of these systems. So there have been a lot of documents sent out, and this one is the zoning law town code chapter 165 that was passed along. Did everybody get this
What do
email?
you mean,
Is that
I'm
the
not sure what
original?
you're asking, Frank.
Say that again.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Did you get this document emailed to you?
No.
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 Is that the original one or is that the new one?
This, I believe,
I
is
didn't get a new one. I read the original.
I believe this is the original. So this was passed along to me, and I can certainly pass it along to everyone.
This is the thing that we've been discussing all along, right?
It is.
Okay.
I think so.
I have seen that, yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it got emailed or if I found it on the website or what, but I have seen that.
Mhm.
Okay, well, this, okay. So I certainly, I don't know if we can ask Renee to to join, Veronica? Is that a possibility to ask to help answer some questions here? Is she's obviously listening.
Yeah, I'm
She put-
here. I actually had my hand up. Have you seen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, did you see that little hand up there? I'm raising my hand. Hold
I
on.
thought that was just you saying hi.
No, and Craig Dennis,
Hi.
chat, you go down to the bottom of your screen and scroll over the little dialogue boxes, and it's where it's set, the little dialogue box where it's, it'll come on the right side, and then you can see any comments that come through. I see that Polly knows how to do it, but.
Yeah, I do.
But you're looking at the wrong document. That is what was already passed last
Right.
meeting.
Correct. That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
say. That's why I was struggling. I knew that this was what this other one's going to kind of be a follow-up to this, correct?
Yes. It's
Yep.
the second part of an overlay district type of legislation, or at least it's the way the town, it was divided up. The proposed solar energy systems law was what we passed. It superseded and eliminated the current one, which only dealt with residential, and now it includes tier 3, which is the community solar level farms. So that's passed. Now what has to be considered is a law, the legislation, the local legislation on the overlay district. And that is a very it's a short 2 or 3 pages. And I'm going to switch over to.
Could I go to that on the?
If you went
website?
if you're on the website, it's the one, if you go down to like the third bullet, I can't see, it says overlay district.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's that one.
you're right. It is. the third bullet.
And that's the one that's up for consideration that goes with, it's like a partner, if you will, to the first one. And
That's this
Right
one.
there.
so I'm just trying to look, I just
Yep.
pulled it up and now I can't find it on my computer.
I have it up on the screen. and
Okay, so, yeah, but I can't see that without my
Oh,
glasses. Where did I have? I know where it is. No, that's not it. Here it is. So, and I'll tell you what so this sets the parameters under which the town will operate when determining for solar. So,
Renee, you keep going in and out.
a little bit.
no, that's because I'm at home and let me switch. Okay. Give me a minute.
I'm just going to scroll through it.
My,
quick, guys.
you know, I'm supposed to have good Wi-Fi and I don't have good Wi-Fi at my house.
Mhm.
Can you hear me better now or am I still in and out?
Still in and
But
out.
a little better, not totally in and out.
Give me a second now. It's changed.
You're mostly in.
Mostly in? Well, that's
Mostly in.
that, they're mostly out. If you look at starting with section C, town board review process, and then going to D, permitted
Yep.
uses and structures and locational guidelines. The locational guidelines is what is going to guide, and section E is what's going to guide the town board in assessing if a particular parcel is appropriate for an overlay. So this is the piece that needs to be passed to go as a companion piece of legislation to what's already been passed. So
Within 1 mile of an approved tier 3 solar energy system. So that's pretty strong language, if you ask me. 1 mile's a pretty good shot, right?
what we don't want
It is.
is twofold. We don't want to both put them all, in one location if that's not appropriate. And on the other hand, what was discussed and considered was maybe there is an area where it would make sense to have solar, because there's nothing around, or there's no objection, or there's, or for whatever reasons. So that's why the language in E, I think it's section 2, yeah, E2,
Me too.
that
Avoid
unless the town
saturation.
board makes specific findings that it will not have a significant impact on the community character of an area. So it's trying to give the town discretion to consider location, because location obviously is key
Yep.
to the overlay, where it goes. So this is the, and it's not a very long piece of legislation, unlike the solar energy conversion
The first one that we
law.
looked at.
Yeah,
right? And the board is looking at the ECC to comment on this as well. Is that
yeah, just your thoughts, if you
from
think it's,
environmentally?
if it suffices the way it is, if there's anything you, as you know, we'll take it into consideration when we have a public hearing. I think May 3rd is that Monday.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's listed as May 3rd.
yes. So we'll take this up at that meeting with the public hearing.
Yeah, I put that on the agenda.
So I just wanted you to be aware, because, and to weigh in if you choose to, on what you think of this piece of legislation.
Right, and that's where I was headed, but I wanted to hear from
Yeah,
you
no,
on
so
that.
I'm gonna mute again and butt out.
Well, Renee, before you go, my understanding, this just gives the town even more
Mhm.
teeth.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I have to say, if you don't mind me taking 2 more minutes, because I think it's very valuable. to
Let
hear
me-
this.
Let me interrupt quickly, Renee.
Okay,
You and I had a discussion about, and maybe that's where you're going right now, where if we have not prepared ourselves properly for all this stuff, I don't know if everyone's aware of what happens with the state, right? They could just come in and say, hey, this is how it's going to get done. Right?
that is where I was going with it. I think
Okay.
that's a simplified, but that's essentially the problem with trying to just outright ban solar. The state has already determined that it has a vested interest or a state interest in renewable energy. So to go counter to that, to the state's wishes, and ban it entirely without, would, number one, open us up to litigation from either landowners and or renewable energy sources. But it would also, because it's against the state's interests, the state could come in and control it. And so the best thing we can do is to do what we've done, which is try and pass a law that's very, very protective of the town, as protective as we can get. And when I look around at other pieces of legislation in other towns, I think ours is very protective. So that's just my personal opinion, and people can beg to differ, but to do nothing, and which would essentially be a moratorium, because we don't have, right, we wouldn't have had the allowed tier 3 in the town. To do nothing would have really exposed us to the state deciding what it would be. And I don't think we would want the state to be deciding what works in Pompey. I think we want Pompey to decide that. So that was something that I hadn't really realized, and it hadn't sunk in until I was on a webinar with the State Department of State on this topic of solar regulation. And that was since, of course, it came after the board meeting in April, or I would have been aware of, the significance of what we were doing. I would have been more aware of that, but I want to put it forth here for you guys, because I think it's important to understand that what we're doing is protective. And now I'm going to mute.
Okay, thank you. So that being said, if we should probably listen to this on Monday. I've got it up before us, and like Renee just said, it's pretty short, guys. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head, and I would certainly welcome any other suggestions. Are there things that we would want in here from an environmental perspective that we're not seeing in here that would allow us to, to add to the review process here that's described in C? It's pretty straightforward. We can read all this relatively quickly, right? If you just brought up the fact about the location guidelines and so forth. Does anybody have any comments? Thoughts? It's pretty quick.
The uplink.
So Frank, this is in addition to the other part of the overlay district where they would have to go through seeker and all that, correct?
That's correct. And then don't forget, on anything that goes through the town, it's been my experience that the ECC gets another look, and then we can make suggestions to the board. Just
Right.
hey, this is what our committee looked at, and these are our comments.
Right, okay. So I think, knowing what's required for the seeker review, there's a lot of detail there. I didn't see this before, but I think, through the other document, we'll probably get, I would imagine, what we need to do a proper review.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts, comments?
Frank, my understanding is this just gives the town board more options and more strength.
And absolutely, right. And I'm just asking our group if we review this and see anything here that we might suggest in addition to be
Okay.
added in here from again, from an environmental perspective that's not been thought of. I don't have anything jumping out at me here. But I was very happy to hear, to understand what Renee just told us about the fact that if, say my pigheadedness was to say, no, I don't want this at all, then we really set ourselves up for a worse situation, is my understanding as she described it. If we just let the state guidelines dictate, our guidelines are now more stringent to some degree, as I understand it.
And my impression is between this document and the original document, which was very detailed, it seems to give the town a lot of control over what could get installed in Pompey.
Right. So, okay.
Okay.
I think this covers the question of piggybacking. When you're talking alternative sites and for an overlay district, I don't know, Renee can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of what we got into, or they got into with this particular document.
Right there, Stan, the prevention of the saturation.
Right.
They're not the most aesthetically pleasing things. And we have quite this view shed that we're looking after. But then again, if you look at the areas where they can put these, they're very limited as well. If you look at that mapping on the website.
Yeah.
So, everybody vote to move on to the next topic on the agenda.
Okay,
Or any more discussion on this, anybody?
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm fine.
great. Okay, so Stan, have you, not putting you on the spot, but have we done anything? I know we talked about the inventory and we threw it in your lap.
Honestly, Frank, I haven't done anything from an inventory standpoint.
Mhm.
I didn't know, moving forward, if that's something I need to do, and certainly I will. I can tell you that there is one less tower. The old Channel 24 tower, they were doing some stuff up there and I stopped in and it was the smaller one right next to Channel 9 tower.
Okay,
That is not there anymore. I guess moving forward, if I know that's what I'm kind of tasked to do, if that was what I was supposed to do, I'm sorry. But
No,
moving
no.
forward,
I know we talked about doing the inventory, and I guess what I'd like to see here is we need to develop some type of a plan, right, moving forward, and maybe select a group out of our group.
well, I mean, Renee, I don't know if Renee is still there in terms of, I know a number of letters were sent out. We got like 3 responses, but I don't know who responded and who didn't. Certainly a lot of the, where the letters were sent is available, but if there's no responses, I mean, that kind of concerns me. I know there's a hut over there with a tower that is sitting there, and the tower is not being used, and then there's no incentive to take it down. So I certainly wouldn't mind working with whoever, and whether it be somebody on the town board or whether it be Nikki or anything like that, and really try to track down who has responded, who hasn't, and move on from there.
Who's responded to what? I'm a little lost, sorry.
My understanding is that there were a number of notes, or I mean, a letter that was sent to each. I mean, I don't know if Renee is still on or not. She can
I'm
probably
here.
clarify better.
I'm here,
Okay.
Stan.
Thanks. Why don't you clarify what's been done so far?
Okay. When we started this whole idea of doing an inventory of the cell towers, the idea was for us to figure out how many towers are there, who owns them, what's on them, because they're allowed to lease space on their towers, and what sort of changes they've been making over time. So we crafted a letter, the attorney for the town did, and it went out under his signature because we thought it might have a little more weight, to about 9 or 10 tower owners that we knew of. We got them through the tax maps and the assessor's office. We've had 3 responses out of it's maybe like 30% response rate, which is not great. So, and I do believe some of them have been, it's basically like owning property that you're not there to oversee and you hire a property manager. But many of these, the way of the future, it seems, with the cell towers is that the original owner of the cell tower has now sold it to like a property management company that now owns it, and then they lease space on the tower. So it's confusing as to who owns what is the bottom line. At the last board meeting, I think or it might have been the one before that, Stan, I don't exactly remember. Tim had received 3 responses. And then we were trying to give people the benefit of the doubt to respond, but the next step was going to be to make some phone calls. And I thought I had given each of you, both you, Stan and Tim, each other's email addresses, because I thought that you could be helpful. You guys could, get some of this started by getting some of the information from Tim. So that's where I thought it was left. I do think I would call this a project. Because I do think tracking this stuff down is not going to be easy. And it's partly because it hasn't been monitored for a while, if ever. No one has kept track of what's been going on with the cell towers. So we're trying to catch up, get updated. so we know who's got what and what's on these towers. We've had, I think, 2 different inquiries from wanting to know what steps they need to take to add things to towers. So that the codes officer has gotten inquiries. I don't think he's responded because we've sort of been unclear as to what requirements we can impose on. That's one of the things our attorney is looking at. What requirements are actually in our code that allows us to do more than just have them tell us or advise us of anything they have to alter what's there. So that's about the extent of it at the present time. I do think I think that it could be a multi-person project because I do think it's going to take some legwork to track information down.
Right.
It's
Well,
So I pulled up,
FCC licenses or what?
guys, if you know, I was sharing the ECC charter again, right?
Mhm.
And one of our, one thing that it identifies is for us to conduct, the one I've got highlighted here, conduct studies, surveys, and inventories of the natural and man-made features within the town of Pompey. So from my perspective, that, just the basic way to start is to say, okay, we have 12 towers in the town of Pompey, within the confines of the town of Pompey. And we locate those towers, we say where they are, and then we go to the next step and we say, here's what's on those towers. Here's who owns what's on those towers. Here's what the law says these people have to do with these, that's why I think this is a pretty tall order, but we have to start somewhere. And I know that Stan, you have a very strong interest in this. So I thought within our committee, we would, like Renee just alluded to, we pull aside a group, pick a group out of this, our group, says, hey, you guys want to look into this and get the ball rolling?
well, Frank, why don't, let me get the ball rolling.
Does that make sense though, Stan? Like,
To Renee's point, she did give and kind of sent an email to Tim and I, but nothing became of it. I thought that Tim was going to send me information and he probably thought I was going to reach out to him. I'll just take the initiative if that's okay.
that's great.
And reach out to Tim and see who has responded, who has sent letters, and get a really concrete inventory of what's up there, or try to get an inventory of what's up there.
Sure.
And then maybe our next meeting, I can speak a lot more intelligently and we can make some decisions there. I mean, I would still like to know what is the town's, I've got reports that go back to, I'm looking at one from October 2002, master plan review for the tower overlay. And I don't know whether that was ever instituted. It was a committee that was set up. I'd really like to look into and see what is on the books too, so that we know what's the ECC's job in all of this, what's the town's obligation in all of this, and maybe move forward to really start to push some of these people, because I think from a town standpoint, there's a lot that's been put up on these towers, and whether legally is one thing, but if they're putting up, panels or antennas that are hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars, shouldn't the town benefit in some manner or respect tax wise or somehow? And just the fact that we know what's up on the towers besides. Sorry.
Well, that's great. Okay, so any other discussion on the inventory from anybody?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea too, to have an inventory of the towers, but do it, one of the questions I would have too is not only what's on the towers, but is there anything on the ground? Like, is there any emergency generator equipment, any battery storage, or anything that could
Absolutely.
cause
Yeah.
harm? So we'd want to know, not only the tower, but the associated equipment with it as well.
Okay, and a lot of this that we're looking at here in our charter may very well be identified in the master plan. And I will be sending out a copy of that to everyone so that you
Okay.
can look at the master plan and see, back in the day, we had a lot of input into it. And it's my understanding that all these master plans are a living document, and all this stuff that we're talking about daily eventually should get rolled into there. That is my understanding of the intent of the master plan, is that it's a living document that constantly evolves and changes and gets added to and subtracted from. So I will send that out for everyone to review.
I mean, to Phil's point, one of the issues that we're gonna have is, you know, if we only have 3 respondees out of 10 or 11 or 12 towers. I mean, I'm not an electrician. I mean, I know Channel 9 has a rather large generator, and they've got some dishes that are cleverly hidden in the trees, and we've got a Doppler up there. I don't know, you know, what kind of generators the other ones may have in the buildings and stuff like that. And that obviously would be a concern.
Right, good point. And then do they have the permitting for those if they need permits? I mean,
Right.
it depends on the size and all that. So it's, yeah, that's good. It's good
No,
to have
this-
that information.
This is a real can of worms. And like I think I've alluded to, this can of worms seems to get open every 20 years. And, you know, because it was 2002, I'm reading this stuff too. And, you know, here we are in 2021. So I'll do my best to speak intelligently at the next meeting.
And don't lose sight of the fact that all this stuff is located in this beautiful town that we love. We just have accepted it for, I don't know how many years. It's there. It's in the town of Pompey. It's
Well, I
because
mean,
we
my,
have these
my,
beautiful hills and we're up high, and you know, there's a lot of reasons for it being where it is. But you know, take care of it. Have some. We need to have some say. So, okay. Anything else? So the next item on the agenda was the farm days, which we're kind of postponing. I believe they're going to have more discussions on this, and at which point then we will review it and provide any input from our perspective on that as well.
well, there is a special event checklist that is out.
And I don't know. If
Wasn't
Renee
that
would
just
need to-
proposed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
It was a
proposed, it's a
proposed
draft.
checklist.
Yeah. So,
I've got
and
some
Renee could
problems
jump
with
in, but I believe, Stan, that is still up for discussion again.
Right.
So, when they put in the
Yeah,
next
Frank,
proposal,
the work group that is involved in this,
Mhm.
I've gotten some feedback from them, and I've realized after speaking to three of the 6 of us that we don't have a meeting of the minds on what was intended. So we're meeting next week, and so that's why I asked you to pull it, because it's premature for you guys to look at it. We need to get the group on the same page first. So I apologize for jumping the gun a little bit, but I just get back with the work group, and then it'll come back to you guys.
Yeah, we'd like to look at their final document, you know, before.
Well, it's not going to be finals proposed, and
Well,
it's not,
yeah,
and it,
their
yeah.
next proposal, I should say, Renee, I
yeah,
stand
exactly.
corrected, but
So,
you know, no
but
sense
you'll
commenting
get a
on
chance.
things
I
that
just,
they may change.
yeah. So,
Right.
Just to
Renee?
clarify, is the special notice discussion that's on the agenda, is that the same thing as the proposed special event checklist?
it is. I think Frank's.
That was my
description is
intent on that,
exact,
on that,
Oh,
because
on this item.
it's-
Yeah.
it's not specific to farm days at all. It's meant to be a special, it's related to all special events.
Okay.
So
Right.
it's really at this point still in discussions as to, so it needs to go back. And Polly, I did see your email and read it and very much appreciate the
Well, you
input. So,
touched a nerve with that one.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But, so.
and it was pre-coffee, so you got the whole thing.
No, but I appreciate it. And the work group, we just need to come to a meeting of the minds on what it is. I think two of us thought had agreed to one thing, and two others that were there, there was 5 of us at the first meeting, thought they had agreed to something else. And when I sent that out, this checklist, that's when I discovered that, oh, we were talking about 2 different things. So we just need to come back together as a group and make sure that we are all in agreement as to what it is we want. And then once we do that, I'll redo whatever to the group's satisfaction, send it back out to you guys. So as I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay. Still tracking down. It's all on me, the Historical Society with Ann, and the one room. I just keep letting it ride on the agenda until I actually do something with that. So that's all on me. Open discussion and topics for next meeting. Obviously, we will be discussing the last topic, the special events, right? At our next meeting.
Hopefully.
And Stan will give us an update, even if it's to say, hey, this is what I've looked at, this is what I'm thinking, or propose, Stan, that, we put together a couple of people and maybe formulate a plan as to how to do this inventory as it's kind of identified on the.
Well, I do have a site safe thing that was done. This was done hastily, and I don't know whether it has an inventory up there, but I'll go through that. It certainly has a number of pictures of the towers. But to Renee's point and Phil's point, I mean, I don't know Phil's point. I don't know what's on the ground. And to Renee's point, just because there's one tower, they could have multiple antennas on that tower. So, I mean, this is where your can of worms just grows exponentially.
Right. And that's why I said start simple, right? But
Right.
Let's say there's 12 towers. All right. Let's identify these towers by, if we number them or they're named, or there must be something, right?
Right.
And then we can say, okay, on tower 152, there's whatever. And I want, for example, AT&T, blah, 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 whatever it is on there, we could, that's how we would start any task like this, right?
Okay.
And get them all kind of, so we can identify the tower, identify what's on it, who's the owner of it, who's responsible for it, what happens when it's abandoned, what are they responsible to do, and so forth and so on. Those are the kinds of things from an environmental perspective that we would be concerned about. Hey, you can't just put this junk up in our town, abandon it and walk away, because we already have the laws in place, but we may not be aware of it and what they're responsible to do, and they may not be forthcoming and do what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, I mean,
I
like
don't
you
know
say,
that.
Only
I'm
if
just
only a
saying.
third have responded to our letter, then, I mean, obviously, I guess there's something that needs to be done. So,
Exactly. Right. So we got to start somewhere. So it's a good starting point.
okay.
Okay.
Aye, Captain.
Yeah. Does that make sense to everyone though? Right. That's
Yeah.
how we go about this. Right. Okay. So that is not our next meeting. That is our meeting right now. So what is our next meeting? The third Thursday of May. Anybody have a calendar right handy?
Yeah, just give me a second. The third Thursday of May is the 20th.
May 20th. Okay. Yep. So that'll be our next meeting. May 20th, 2021 at 7:00. Anything else anybody wants to discuss?
Good.
Yeah, I'm
Guess
good
we'll
too.
see each other Saturday. Those of us who are here.
Thanks, Pauline.
Uh,
Okay, yeah, and
I can't
Gotta
stand
cross the
silence.
bow.
Have you noticed?
I will follow up with that email to everyone as far as that the trees have arrived and reiterating the schedule.
Okay.
8:30 to 10 is Stan and Martha. 9:30 to 11 is Phil, and 11 to 12 is Pauline.
Hey, Frank,
Yes.
do I need to go get the trees? Or are they gonna be, is your son gonna bring them up or
You
what's
want
the
me to?
scenario?
You're obviously working, right? So you're pretty much over at the club every day now at this
Yep.
point.
Yep.
So Frankie's volunteered to bring them wherever they need to be, but I think it makes sense now that you're going to be the guy. Always have him run them over there.
All right.
And if I've got your cell and everything, so I'll communicate with you if if it's weird hours or something like that.
All right.
And then I can just say, hey, here they are. And it's not even super far for you to whip over to my house and just grab them, right?
There are no
If-
weird hours in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I know. So if it's snowing though, you might want to go home with your family.
There you go.
So we'll figure it out.
Okay,
I'll communicate. Okay.
thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Good
Yep,
night.
thanks, Frank.
We'll be in
Bye,
contact.
everybody.
All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay.